Om Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead me from the unreal to the real. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Today's topic is Be You Merely an Instrument. That's from the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna telling Arjuna, Nimitta Matram Bhava. So we'll just see the background of this statement of Sri Krishna, be you an instrument. The Mahabharata battle is about to start, and that's when Arjuna got confused about as to his duty, and Krishna is giving the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. After hearing the divine glories of Sri Krishna, of the Lord, Arjuna wanted to see the divine form, the universal form. And out of his graciousness, Sri Krishna agreed to show Arjuna and gave him the divine eyes to see that. But seeing all the divine form, the universal form, the past, present, and future, the whole universe in one spot, Arjuna got so frightened and he started asking, who are you? Of course, it is Sri Krishna is showing the divine universal form, but still he asked the question. He got so confused and frightened. He asked him, who are you? This terrible form. Then Krishna gives a reply, I am the time all destroyer. Engaged here in annihilating all beings. So that's his duty, the work there, destroying the whole universe. And then he adds, even without you, not one of all the warriors arrayed in these rival armies shall survive. So, destroying your enemies, enjoy the prosperous kingdom. These warriors have already been killed by me. Be you but an instrument. That's what Krishna says. All the warriors arrayed on both sides. He says they've all been killed. Now they are just standing there like statues or as were painted in the canvas. All he had to do is just shoot the arrow and apparently kill them. And then he goes on to mention a few specially. He says, Bhishma, Drona, Jayadratha, Karna, they all have been killed because these great warriors are supposed to be invincible. Bhishma has got the boon that death will not approach without his permission. He will die only when he wants to die. And Drona the teacher cannot be killed as long as he holds any weapon. As long as he wields weapon, nobody can kill him. And Jayadratha's father did a lot of austerities and got the boon from Lord Shiva that whoever kills his son or by whoever throws the head of his son to the ground, that person's head will shatter to 1,000 pieces. So if you kill the person, if you cut his head off, your head will be shattered to 1,000 pieces. So that way, almost say he is invincible. No, he cannot be killed. And Karna is a very great warrior, almost equal to Arjuna. And Karna has got a very strong weapon called Shakti, given by Indra, which is really deadly. Whomsoever it is aimed at, that person will be killed definitely. And Karna is saving that to kill Arjuna. So these are really invincible warriors. So Sri Krishna says, mentioning their name, they all have been killed by me. So you be just an instrument. Now, this teaching of Gita, though it was given to Arjuna in the battlefield, they have been told by all the teachers that this is a teaching for the whole humanity in their battle of life. It's not just to Arjuna. But we don't have a battle or a war to wage like Arjuna, not a physical war, but we have got the battle of our own life. Everybody has got. We have got many forces of darkness and negativity to face with, to fight and conquer. And they are very powerful, apparently invincible, like Bhishma, Drona, and Karna. So the Lord is adding, assuring us that all these negative forces would be destroyed if we become an instrument in his hands. That's all we have to do. Become an instrument in the hand of God. Then all the negative forces which are waging war against us will be destroyed. Now the question is how to become an instrument in the hand of God. Nimitta matram. He says, as so it seems very easy. Just become an instrument in the hand of God. But it's when you try to practice it, it's very, very hard. Now, look at the main teachings of Gita. Talking to a friend in Calcutta, Swami Vivekananda says, this is the central idea of Gita, to be calm and steadfast in all circumstances, with one's body, mind, and soul centered at his hallowed feet. To be calm and steadfast in all circumstances, whatever happens. With how can we do that? With our mind, body, and soul completely fixed at the feet of the Lord. And in another place, Sri Krishna, Swami Vivekananda says about the idea of Gita is the image of the preacher of Gita, Sri Krishna. And then he asked a friend to describe the form of Krishna that we see in as the preacher of Gita. What is he doing? He is holding, or he is reining in 4 powerful horses with his left hand, holding the reins. And their horses are really ready to jump forward to go for the battle. He's restraining them. In the other hand, he's holding the whip. So there's tremendous energy to hold those 4 horses, control them. It's a lot of energy is needed. Tremendous work going on in the body. But the mind is completely calm, serene. With a sweet smile, he is turning towards Arjuna and is giving the teaching. So there is intense activity in the body. Externally, there's intense activity, but in the mind, calm and steadfast, serenity. But we know that when we do engage in actions, the mind gets disturbed. Whether the action is a pleasant action or unpleasant action, whether the results are good or bad, our mind gets disturbed. Because if the results are good, we get elated. If the results are bad, we get upset. Both disturbs the mind. So how are we to get this calmness and serenity which is shown on the face of Sri Krishna? At least a fraction of it. And what is causing this disturbance to our mind? We see that it is desire and attachment. That's always disturbing our mind. Attachment to the results of our action. So Shri Krishna is asking us, do all the works, whatever you have to do, all your duty, but don't get attached to the results. He says in the Gita, Karmanye vadhikaraste, you have the right only to the action, not to the results. So that means don't get attached to the results, do all your duties. But isn't it a bit contradictory? You do all the duties, but don't attach to the result, don't look for the results. How can that be possible? Because if you are not attached to the results, Sri Krishna says, whatever you do, the actions that you're performing, if you are unattached, then you will attain the supreme. But that's a sticking point for us, a difficulty for us. When we take up any action, say a just cause, and at the present time, there's a lot of causes which are appealing to our mind. There is the global warming, climate change, racial and gender discrimination, and people take up all these causes and work for that. And we work with all our might, with putting all our energy and strength into that. But perhaps we may reach a stage when we cannot give it up, the action that we have taken up, even though it is ending up in failure, or we are finding it hard to go on, still we are not able to give it up. We cling to that with great tenacity. And we say it's our duty. And Swami Vivek, even if it hurts us, we just still hold on to it, saying it is our duty. And Swami Vivekananda says it is actually attachment, but we have covered it with a high-sounding word of duty. We are like the bees going to suck honey. Say, suppose there is honey in a dish. Bees come to suck honey. But what happens? Their feet get stuck in the honey. We are like that. We have come to enjoy this world, but we get stuck in the honey of this world. The sage Bhartrihari says, Bhogana bhukta vayameva bhukta, tapona taptam vayameva tapta, kalona yato vayameva yata, Trishnanda jirna vayameva jirnaha. We have come to enjoy, we came to enjoy, we are being enjoyed by the world. The pleasures eat into our vitals, as Nachiketa told Yama. These enjoyments only deplete the senses. The world pleasures eat into our vitals. So we are being enjoyed. We came to rule, we are being ruled. We came to work, we are being worked by other minds. The desires are not depleted, we are being depleted. So this is the condition of the vast majority of humanity. We are caught, we get stuck in the world. Now we have to learn how not to get caught. That's the main thing. We have to learn not to get caught in this world. We have to have the power of detachment. We get attached to things. Of course, they say there's no harm. It's better to get attached without being any attachment. Well, Swamiji says the wall does not get attached, but the wall remains a wall. Do you want to be like that? It's better to get attached to something than being a wall or a piece of rock. But we must have the capacity, we must have the ability or power to detach ourselves from everything that we get attached to, however dear and beloved that may be, and however terrible the pain and suffering involved in getting detached. We must be able to do that. We must have the power to detach ourselves. And for that, we have to be strong. We need strong willpower. There is no place for the weak in spiritual realm. If you want to follow the spiritual path, you have to be really, really strong. That's why the Upanishad says, Nayam Atma Balahina Labhya. This Atman is not obtained by the weak-minded. We have to be very, very strong. Then we may ask the question, isn't surrendering to God, giving up one's will to God's will, isn't it weakness? They say surrendering to God, merging our individual will completely in God's will is the greatest manifestation of strength or willpower. And with that comes the conviction that we are strong in the strength of God. It's only when we are free from attachment that we can work like a master. Otherwise, we work like slaves. And we say it is our duty. As I mentioned earlier, Swamiji says it's attachment, but we put the high sounding word of duty. At present, we are working like slaves. And we say it's our duty. Speaking about this common idea of duty, Swamiji says, duty becomes a disease with us. It drags us ever forward. It catches hold of us and makes our whole life miserable. Look at the poor slaves to duty. Duty leaves them no time to say prayers, no time to bathe. Duty is ever on them. They go out and work, duty is on them. They come home and think of the work for the next day. Duty is on them. It is living a slave's life. At last, dropping down in the street and dying in harness like a horse. This is duty as it is understood. Really strong words, but it's a fact. This is duty as it is understood. The only true duty is to be unattached and to work as free beings, to give up all work unto God. That's the only duty. To work as, to be unattached. That's the only true duty. Swamiji is not saying don't do any work. Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is not asking us not to work. He is keep saying be unattached. So Swamiji converts these words. The only true duty is to be unattached and to work as free beings, to give up all work unto God. Often we mistake when you say unattached, oh, you are asking us to be indifferent. No, being unattached is not being indifferent, it's completely different. It is not being indifferent to the task on hand. You have to put in all the energy and power at your disposal into that particular action. But unattached means getting the little self completely dissolved in action. The I of the actor, the person of I do the thing, that I is completely annihilated. That's what is meant by being unattached. So this detachment is not a negative thing. It is detaching from the lower and attaching ourselves to the higher. Detach from the desire for selfish gain and attach oneself to the welfare of the world, the good of the world, as Buddha says, Bahujana Hitaya, Bahujana Sukhaya. That is detachment. Now, how do we give our work to God? How are we to do that? Does the God come and take over our actions? No, He's offer all the results to God. It is offering the results to God. Have the idea that God is the master, I'm doing His work. I'm simply working for Him. Then the results don't belong to me. If I do work for a person, somebody, then whatever the results of that action belongs to that person, not to me. So we are to have that attitude. We are working for the Lord. We are doing His work, so the results belongs to Him. But whether it is good or bad, we don't have any claim to the results. They belong to the Lord. So Krishna is asking, don't get attached to the results. And how are we to do that? He says, whatever you do, have the remembrance of offering those results to me. So in the Gita he says, Etkaroshi yadasnasi ejjuhoshi dadasiyat. Yat tapasasi kaunteya tatkurusha madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, whatever austerities you perform, do as an offering unto me. So whatever we are doing, it's not a do as an offering unto me. Everything becomes worship. All our daily activities becomes a worship of God. If we can remember this, it's not that we have to go to the temple or church or even your prayer room to do worship. From morning till evening, all the waking hours, whatever we are doing is a worship of God. And if we can keep that idea constantly in the mind, even sleep becomes an act of worship. As Ram Prasad says, Nidrai karo make dhyan. When you are sleeping, you are meditating on Divine Mother. So every action becomes a worship of God. There's no more secular and sacred. So what Sri Krishna is asking us is to bring about a change in our mental attitude. Now we are performing all the action with the idea, I do. And I do these actions to achieve such and such results for myself or my family, my people. It's all connected with I and mine. Sri Krishna is saying to perform this action, the same action, with great enthusiasm, to the best of our ability, but with another different mental framework. Do everything, but offer everything to God. Don't appropriate all the results for yourself. You need the help. You take the help of other people to perform your action. We are living in a society. We take the help from other people. Then don't say that all the results belong to you. You have to share with others. So the best way is you cannot go around giving sharing the results to all the people. Offer it to God. Do the action because it is your duty, not because you will get a particular result. That's what Krishna is saying. It's your duty. This is a, some action has come in front of me. This is for me to do. Sometimes we ask, why should I do it? We change the attitude. Why not I do it? It's there for me to do. Somebody has to be. This has to be done. Why not? Why don't I do it? Because I'm doing the Lord's work. He's the master, I'm his servant. And that attitude we have to have. We are working for the sake of the Lord and for his satisfaction. And Shri Krishna says, even by working for me, you attain the supreme. Often we say when you do work, you get bound. But Krishna says, no, even by working when you work for me, you attain the supreme because you are not attached to the results. You are working for me. The results belong to me. Madartham abhi karmani kurvan siddhim avapsesi. You perform action for me. You attain the perfection. But even when we do that work, that way, when we offer the results to Lord, I'm doing the Lord's work, I'm his servant. But who is doing the action? I do. The sense that I am the doer is still there. So but when you progress in spiritual path, when you evolve in spiritual path, you come to a state higher than that, where even that idea of doership is gone, agentship is gone. You don't have anymore the idea that you are actually doing. You get the idea that the Lord is working through you. You become merely an instrument in the hands of the Lord. You come to have the idea that Lord is the only working force in the whole universe. The divine will works through everything in the universe. All actions that we think we are doing through our individual will is actually done by the divine will. We don't have any will of our own. We are not doing anything. We are just he is doing through us. That attitude comes. At present, we feel that we do, I do, that I feeling. It's due ignorance. Actually, that person is just an occasion, an instrument. That's the true surrender to the Lord. We are earlier stage, we surrender the results of our action to the Lord. In a higher stage, we surrender even our agentship to the Lord. It's complete surrender. The recognition that this whole universe, all the beings exist for His work, to fulfill His will. That is that recognition gives the idea that I am the Lord. I am the instrument in the hand of God, nimitta matram. Ramaprasad, the Bengali poets, said, he sings, Tomar karma tumi koroma. O mother, thou dost thine own work. But people call it's theirs. Thou art the moving force, and I am a mere machine. I move along as thou, O mother, movest me. I don't have any power. I don't have any strength of my own. You are moving me. I just move as you make me move. There is no will of mine own. One's own will is not there. The tool does not have any will of its own, whether to perform action or not. It does not make any decision, whether to work or stop work. Suppose the pen, I have used a pen to write a few letters, and then the pen decides, no, I have written a lot of letters, I'm not going to write anymore. The pen doesn't have any will of its own to do that, any strength of its own. We are like that. We are in that stage of spiritual evolvement. We will come to the realization that we don't have any power of our own. The Lord is working through us. It is due to our ignorance that we don't realize that we imagine that we are doing this or that. We are free to do what we like. But if you look at your action, our everyday life, we see that we may plan, but things don't go as we plan because it's not in our hand. When things don't go, then we realize, oh, we had planned, but it's not in our hands. It's Lord's will. But we hear people saying all this, oh, I surrender everything to God. To the will of God, where everything happened by the will of God, whatever is His will. It's all good when everything goes well. But this is only lip service. Do we really mean it? To really mean it, to practice it every moment of our life is very, very difficult. If things goes really against our wishes, goes really bad, can we still say, it's your will, thy will be done? Then we protest, we grumble, we scream. Then if we can say, even then, it's your will, I accept it, then we have got the right to say, I'm an instrument in the hand of God. So that's why Saint Teresa of Avila says, to say that we abandon our will to another's will seems very easy until through experience we realize that this is the hardest thing one can do if one does it as it should be done. If one does as it should be done, then we realize it's the hardest thing that we can do, to give up one's will to the will of God. Why is it so? There is a continuous. His gifts in this world are trials, sorrows, injuries, persecutions, etc. See, what are the gifts of God? These are the gifts He gives. Trials, sorrows, injuries, persecution. Nothing. All these things we run away from them. We don't want all these things. But these are the gifts that of God is giving us. To those He loves more, He gives more of these gifts. To those He loves less, He gives less. So to say that I give up my will to your will and accept all these things, it's really, really hard. That's why she says, only those who have tried, know how hard it is to practice it. When we have completely given up our will and have attained perfect union with God, only then we become really an instrument in the hand of God and we can do His will. Till then, what are we to do? We are far away from that stage. So what are we to do? We can only pray, "Oh Lord, guide me by your hand that I may do your will. Make me an instrument in your hand." That we can pray. That prayer will give us purity of mind. And slowly, slowly, we will progress. Now, the main thing that stands in our practice of surrender to God, to the surrender to the divine will, is our egoism. I am such and such. I have got so much of money. I have got so much of power. I am so famous. I can do this. I have done that. These are the common statements. All this I and mine. Big ego. Sri Ramakrishna calls this the unripe ego. So it's not very easy to get rid of it and practice surrender to the will of God. When I can do so much, why should I give up my will to the will of God? So it's very hard to practice the surrender. But it is not impossible, hard. So we need to practice constantly discrimination or discernment and dispassion. Constant practice of discernment and dispassion is needed to get rid of this unripe ego. His will be done through us when we have removed all the obstacles, all the obstructions for His will to flow through us. When we become a pure, clean channel for His will, then His will flow through us without any obstructions. Everything that stands in the way has to be removed. Mataji has described here in a different time in her talks about the flute of Sri Krishna. It seems the gopis, the milk maidens, ask the flute, "What is your secret? Krishna is always holding you so close to his lips. What is your secret? What have you got?" The flute replied, "I have got nothing. That's the secret. I emptied myself of everything." The flute, it's completely hollow. There's nothing in that. So if we make ourselves completely empty of everything, all our egoism, vanity, pride, arrogance, then we will become clear channels for the flow of divine will. It's very hard to get rid of the ego. We think that we have given up the ego, we have subdued the ego. Sri Ramakrishna compares the ego to the sapling of the banyan tree. You pull it out, the sapling or the new shoot. 2 days later, you see another shoot coming up. It's very hard to root it out completely. So he says, don't worry about rooting it out. Just change the direction. Transform the unripe ego to the ripe ego. Don't bother about getting rid of the ego, but change the unripe ego to the ripe ego. Unripe ego is the one who says, "I am such and such, I am such a big person. I'm so great, I'm so famous, all that. I is very important. Make it into the ripe ego, which says, I'm the child of God, I'm the servant of God. Here also there's I is the ego is there. But what is the ego saying? I'm the child of God, I'm the servant of God, I'm a devotee of God, I'm an instrument in the hands of God. So God is important. You become the ripe ego. That ripe ego takes us towards God. Swami Turiyananda says, the more you will free yourself from egotism and become his instrument, the more you will realize peace. The more you feel that God is the only doer, not you, the more your heart will be filled with peace. Often we confuse self surrender with inaction. Oh, surrender everything to God, so I don't have to do anything, sit quietly. Sitting quietly without doing anything, performing any action, it's complete self surrender? No. Extreme, other opposite end. Without doing anything, sitting quietly, it's inaction, tamas, inertia. We have to get out of this inertia, practice spiritual disciplines, perform japa, meditation, prayer, do your duties, what is to be done, your daily duties, help others, do service to other people as far as possible in your capacity. So, doing all these things, you rise from tamas to rajas activity, intense activity. And through that, your mind gets purified and you reach to the higher state of sattva, where your mind becomes really pure and you get control over our mind and mind becomes calm. And only then we can have self-surrender. Swami Vivekananda had the firm conviction that he was an instrument in the hand of God and the hand of Sri Ramakrishna. He was an instrument of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna was working through him. He had the conviction. We see one incident after his return from the West in 1897, 1st of May, the Ramakrishna mission was organized. He called that meeting of the devotees and set up or organized the Ramakrishna mission. And the duty and the what activities, everything was discussed, decided upon, and he gave the motto Atmana Mokshartham Jagat Hitaya, so one's own salvation and for the welfare of the world. After that, some of the devotees went away, and some they were remaining there and just talking. And Swami Yogananda raised the doubt: is it the way that Sri Ramakrishna asked us to continue his work? He said, whatever he was telling Swamiji, whatever you have decided, it will work out. But doubts come. As far as we understood, Sri Ramakrishna's method is completely different. Is this the way, what we are planning to do now? Is it what Sri Ramakrishna wanted to do? So Swamiji says, don't think that you have understood Sri Ramakrishna completely. Sri Ramakrishna is infinite. His ideas are infinite. We each have understood very little. And then he continues. One gracious glance of his eye can create 100,000 Vivekanandas at this instant. He's saying how immense the power of Sri Ramakrishna. One gracious glance of his eye can create 100,000 Vivekanandas at this instant. But if this time he chooses instead to work through me, making me his instrument, I can only bow to his will. See, I am working as his instrument. So we also have to pray because we haven't reached the stage where we can give up our will completely. We have to work towards that. That's the aim that we are working towards, first offer the results of our action to God, and then we will work towards the goal of completely giving up our will and becoming an instrument in the hand of God. Till then, let's pray. Oh Lord, guide us and make me an instrument in your hands. Thank you.
So thank you everybody for attending the talk today, and to those who tuned in on YouTube either now or later. The programs for the coming week, we have the yoga class on Thursday morning from 10 to 11:15 a.m. There will be the fortnightly spiritual discussion led by Gayatriprana this coming Friday night from 7 with silent meditation from 7 p.m. And next Sunday, Gayatriprana will give the monthly talk on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And also we'll be having the monthly Vedanta book club meeting here in Vedanta Hall from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. And it'll also be held, there'll be a Zoom only meeting of the book club on the last Wednesday of the month. And reminder, we've got the Durga Puja celebration coming up on the 25th of October, Sunday the 25th. I'm just reading the government's thinking about maybe decreasing the 4 meter to 2 meter rule per area per person inside in an enclosed space, at least for hotels. Hopefully they'll extend that to places of public worship. Anyway, let's hope if it comes through before then, that will be very helpful. But at the moment, we're limiting the numbers to 25 people. So if you're planning to come, let us know, just so we can manage that properly. And fingers crossed, maybe conditions will change and we'll be able to allow more people in. We'll see. We've got donation plate there, donation box up the back, and we'll conclude with listening to a guided meditation by revered Pravrajika Gayatriprana.
O Lord, lead me onto that state of eternal light, the light that shows the way to perpetual, undecaying, immortal bliss. May my heart turn towards the love of the resplendent Lord, the source of all light. Speed fast, then, O mind, and unite with the source of eternal bliss. Rigveda. Man's paradise is on earth. This world is the most beloved place of all. Let us live this life fruitfully, usefully. Let us live this life, the bounteous gift of God, freely given to us in such a way that through our life we show our gratitude to the great architect of the universe. Let us make sure that we don't die 1,000 deaths before destiny calls us for the final departure. The creative energy of the sovereign ruler of the universe and the soul of all souls has worked within this cosmic existence. The sovereign ruler of the universe is in reality residing within the cave of our heart. Let us close our eyes to his play of illusion going on outside, all around us, and turn our gaze towards himself, the real architect of all this show. He, of the form of resplendent glory, divine consciousness, and complete peace, is shining there within the heart. It has been there for a long time, from the beginning. We have been blind to the glory that we carry always, always within the heart. When we look closely, we can see his heavenly radiance inside us. With our imagination, we can see shining within our heart a brilliant silver colored star, emitting rays of peace and purity into all parts of the body. A wonderfully shaped star sending out cool, life giving rays of energy all around, from within the heart to every part of the body. This energy is gliding through every vein and artery of the system. And when we concentrate on the star, we can see in the center of the star the golden form of the universal Lord, the embodiment of strength, wisdom, love, and peace, looking at us with eyes full of affection and sweetness. He has been sitting there, and we have been directing our energies to the passing pleasures of the outside world. Now, when we close our eyes to the external world and turn our attention to Him, He smiles. His smile is irradiating everywhere, sending out thousands of rays of energy and power, filling the whole of our inside. The beautiful silver star in the heart, inside which we can see our chosen ideal, the Lord of our heart, sitting in perfect peace and relaxation. He has been waiting there for ages and ages for us to turn our attention to Him. And now, when we listen closely, we can even hear the sound of His silent laughter, echoing and re echoing within the space of our heart as the eternal Om. Its reverberations pass through all our limbs, into our arms, legs, into the head, as peaceful, gentle currents of energy and light. When we listen, we can feel the tingling, the pulsation in our system is the echo of his silent laughter. His joy that we are turning our attention towards his presence, made manifest in our heart because of our yearning to see him and the power of our concentration, full of repose and peace, joy and contentment. The heart is filled with his radiance. The whole body is tingling with the sensation of joy that is emanating from his holy presence. And in the heart is the wonderful, perfectly shaped silver star, in the center of which we feel the presence of the Lord of the universe. Let us try to keep this experience of perfect yoga, of perfect equilibrium, for a few moments when we try to meditate in silence. Hari Om, Hari Om, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om, peace, peace.